What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Making Sense with Lady Lovers. I'm one of your hosts, a lady that loves ladies. And
I am one of your hosts, a man that also loves ladies. You didn't
what
say
a
your name.
coincidence.
You didn't say your name.
Oh, I didn't?
No, you just said I'm one of your hosts. I'm
All right,
Sasha.
I'm gonna try that.
That's Brandon.
I'm Sasha, and that's B Rand the Don.
It's your boy B Rain the Don, aka Brandon.
I didn't even realize I could
Yeah,
have. I probably just thought it in my head and didn't say
yeah. It literally went. I'm one of your hosts, a lady who loves
it.
ladies. And then there was a space, and I was like, okay.
Okay. That makes sense because I'm like, why is it taking him a while to?
Yeah,
Okay. Um.
yeah.
So today's topic, right? Wait, I'm Sasha, by the way.
Yeah, we got that.
Um, today's topic is, are gay men still frowned upon?
I think
And I feel like
this might be a two topic podcast. I feel like
probably, and
yeah.
then I do feel like when we first brought it up, um, I feel like we're gonna have a little bit like different opinions about it.
Okay.
Yeah, but what do you think? Do you feel like gay men are still frowned upon?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say like no. So then there's no differences really.
I mean, there's a lot of context and stuff that goes with it, but usually you open up a podcast with asking me a question. So, do you have a question? Is was that the question?
That was the question.
That
Yeah, the
was the question.
question
All right.
was,
Our game
do
is
you
still fun
feel
one.
like yeah,
Yeah. We are lucky enough to be in a more liberal, progressive city. And I have to emphasize city because outside of New York City, it's more conservative. I feel like a lot of people don't know that because, you know, not to get into politics or anything. This is genuinely a blue state, but it's only blue because of New York City. Like if you take out New York City, it's gonna be a red state.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we live in a city that allows us to be more free. We see shit all day, every day. It's the excuse me, just burp. Sorry, my new drink of choice or my drink of choice for this podcast gets me burping. Um, I'm not gonna say their name because they're not sponsors, and we're trying to get sponsors. So if you like what you
and
hear
we
on the
are.
podcast, sponsor us. Throw us some money to say your name. And we're not
Send
out
it,
here
send
promoting
it.
for free. Uh, um, got sidetracked. We live in a city that is a lot more progressive. We see a lot of stuff, so we're more open to stuff. Um, for better or for worse, because it's a two-edged sword. I feel like we're desensitized to certain things,
Hmm.
and other stuff where it's good to be desensitized to. Some stuff there's bad to be desensitized to. But I feel like as soon as you leave the city, or even some parts of the city too, still it's not accepted. Gay men.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you're always gonna see backlash on the internet, and I do want to point this out. As adults, we're more accepting. As
mhm,
youth and children, I don't think we're there yet. And I'm saying this because I know how it was when I grew up. You did not want to be labeled as gay or even joked about like that because it was just like
right.
super like don't want to be associated with that. Hold up, someone's ringing my bell. Yes, as young,
You feel like children.
yeah, definitely when you're younger, you did not want that labeled on you, regardless of how comfortable your sexuality was. Like, I think it was only like in high school when we started like being like, there's nothing wrong with being gay. Um, but definitely like middle school, the first time you're sharing lockers with other kids and stuff, you didn't want that
Yeah,
label
yeah,
at all. So, I mean, I can't attest to how it still is. I'm sure it's gotten a little bit better, but I know
yeah.
that in at least the male community, it probably is still the same. Probably.
I agree with you. Um, there. I feel like it's still very frowned upon. I don't see what the big deal is, but I do feel that the reason it's more frowned upon for guys to be gay than it is for women is just for sexual satisfaction purposes.
Mm.
Like, if you look at the majority of people that disapprove of gay men, it's other men. I feel like it's a huge, like, one, it's the matter of masculinity. There's always that thing amongst guys where it's like, are you masculine enough? And it's like they label it, if you're gay, then automatically you're not masculine enough.
Mm-hmm.
And there are gay men out there that are more masculine than straight men. But just because they don't want to be labeled as weak, they would be scared to come out, or automatically, if they do come out, they're going to be harassed.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's the, at least when I was younger, I think that was my biggest fear because I didn't really care if someone was gay. I just didn't want to be called gay. Like I was like, if you're gay, whatever, cool. But don't be coming at me like I'm gay. Like it was like that, where it was
right.
like I didn't want that harassment because people would make fun of you or it would be frowned upon or stuff like that. As I got, like I said, as I got older, in a more liberal-minded school where there was a lot more gay people present, people were more, focused on being aware of issues.
Yeah.
It was less of a thing. People would make jokes. They would be comfortable with their sexuality. It's like I'm straight, but I'll sit on this
Mm-hmm.
guy's lap and grind on it. Like, could you not have seen
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So, and like I even see it now. Like I have a, I'm not gonna say his name. I have a young coworker who, anytime something sounds remotely like sexual, that could be suspect between two guys, he throws out a pause. He's like, "Yo, it's Matt gay," pause or whatever. And it's just like, yo, like all I said, we're working in the lumber department. All I said was to pick up the treated wood. Like that's not gay. Like just, I'm asking
That's
you to
just
do your job.
immaturity.
Yeah, it's
That's just
immaturity.
immaturity.
So like, I definitely still see it. There's definitely still like homophobic tendencies. Um, and like I feel like even when I was his age, I was still doing the whole pause thing and being like, "Yo,
No
that's
homo.
sus, no homo," right? In my friend group, I remember we had a clause because since we were so comfortable with our sexuality, but we also didn't want to still be called that. We had like um, we called it uh, bromeo, no homeo. It was the
Okay,
no
so
homo
question.
clause. Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
Can you say that you're comfortable with your sexuality if you still have that fear of not wanting to be labeled or harassed as gay, even though you're not? And like you said, you're comfortable with it, but can you really say you're comfortable if you still have that fear?
I think there's different tiers of it. Because we were comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I could hold my friend's hand and not care. But it was a difference from
Okay.
physical versus like, how do I word it? Perspective, right?
Okay.
Like physically, we could be comfortable. Like I'll hold my friend's hand and not care, you know.
But if someone
Versus,
else seen it,
yeah, not even just seeing it, like, because that would be like it. Usually, the context in which we would do that would be either to cover for someone, like they were, and this might sound messed up, but I had a friend who pretended to be gay so that he wouldn't get hit on at concerts,
okay.
and I was his gay boyfriend at concerts. Like, if he needed to prove himself, anything short of like like nothing like making out or kissing or anything like that, but like holding hands
Right.
or grabbing a butt or whatever, because that was like one of my closest friends. I've known him for years. Like we grew up together, so it was like whatever, right? I'm comfortable enough with my sexuality that if a dude grabs my ass, I'm gonna be like, as long as I know them, I'm gonna be like whatever, you know. Uh, but if we said something and it came out wrong, you had to correct yourself because even though obviously it wasn't the intent, it was still like a perspective thing. Like, all right, that sounded dirty or whatever. So back then, when it was more apparent, like we would be more comfortable physically than it was verbally, which doesn't make sense in my opinion, but it was just how it was. That was the mentality. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we could like hold hands, sit on each other, grab each other's ass. But if you say something that connotates sexualness towards another guy, you gotta say no homo. It was just like, I don't know. Yeah, so we had our no homo clause, bromeo, bromeo, no homeo, and that was the thing for like two
Romeo no
years.
homo.
Yeah, bromeo, no homeo.
Wow.
That was the thing for like 2 years. We got into college and it just stopped. And then eventually, like one of our friends came out was buying stuff. We just don't say it anymore. Like we understand the context. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's something we evolved to. So that's why I feel like it's still there because like as growing up as a straight man and getting into that, even being in a liberal path in a liberal school with surrounded by people who are also gay or bisexual, we still felt like, yeah, we're more comfortable. We could be opener. Like, opener's not a word. We could be open. We could be open, but the mentality was still there that every now and then it's like, all right, a little bit too far,
That's too
pause.
much.
You know, a little bit too much. That sounded wrong, pause, like that. And then now, I've seen even pause being used for straight things too, which is weird. Weird to me because that's
Yeah.
never. It's
Yeah.
just anything sexual now. It's like,
Yeah. I remember for me, I used to do the whole that was a little too straight for me cuz I'm a gay woman.
yeah,
So I remember if I'm hanging out with my friends and they would say something, right? Or they would do something and they're like, "Yo, that's mad gay." Like especially since majority of my friends were guys, I would turn around and I'm just like, I'm still a woman. So technically, this is straight.
yeah,
And from there, it was just like if something came off in a way where it wasn't gay, but it was like straight, I'd be like, chill, that's mad straight. Like, don't bring that here.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
mad straight.
yeah.
But yeah, I've done that.
I
Like,
remember being with you for that for a moment or two like that. I feel like in youth court it was like that too, where it was like we had the guys who were like, "Nah, pause, yo." Like, I feel like we were on a trip together, and you said that, and I started cracking up.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, sir, I'm a woman. But at the time, I was a girl. So I'm like, sir, I'm a girl. You shouldn't feel like this is gay. You should feel like this is straight,
mm-hmm.
right? But I think that again just goes hand in hand with like you being comfortable with your sexuality, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm comfortable enough with my sexuality that I harass my guy friends. Like you can ask B Ran the Don. I have sexually harassed this man,
yeah.
right?
I've
But there's
I've had to
no
go to therapy. She grabs my chest all the time.
um they feel nice. That's one. Two, two, right? There's no like sexual connection. There's no anything going beyond just a brother and sister
Yeah,
type thing, right?
sibling things. Yeah,
Um, but it's a matter of for someone who isn't comfortable, like you're comfortable knowing you're a straight man, you know what you like, you know what you're into. I'm a gay woman. I know what I like, I know what I'm into. And even if we're outside together and I make a comment like, "Damn, Brandon, that ass though. It looks nice in those jeans." Like it doesn't phase me, right?
yeah. I will say I always get caught off guard because there has been times where Sasha's giving me a compliment, and guys are not used to getting compliments like that. So it's like I remember one time I forgot what it was. All right, so unpopular thing. I don't ever use chapstick, but my lips are never really chapped. Like I'm always licking my lips. I understand it dries
Yeah.
them out, whatever. I'm constantly licking my lips. They never stay dry. I brought that up, and Sasha was like, "Word, I will admit you had nice lips," and I was blushing the whole time because I wasn't expecting that comment. Like, and it wasn't like it made me uncomfortable, but I was just like, I don't know what to say to that. Like, thanks, I guess. Like,
Cuz it's like if it was another guy telling you, "Nah, you know what? You do have nice lips." That would probably make you feel some type of way as well, or
mhm.
is it just something where it's like,
I'm just not used to getting compliments. Like, another guy could say it, and I would probably react the same way. Like, I had a guy ask me out to dinner once, and I didn't know what was going on. Like, it was a stranger who came up to me. I was on the train platform in 48th Street waiting for the train, and he starts like grabbing my shoulder and saying, you look really built, you look nice and stuff. I'd love to take you out to dinner. And like, it was up until that point, like, he was complimenting me. I wasn't. Nothing was registering in my head. I did not realize I was getting hit on. Like, I was just like, thanks, yeah, what's going on?
But did you get that free meal though?
No, I wasn't gonna scam him. I don't.
Okay. I
And I
respect it.
had someone on Facebook tell me that, because I posted on Facebook, of course, because it was just out of the blue. It was the first time that's happened to me. I was like, wow, I got not only catcalled, I was physically touched and asked out to dinner by a complete stranger. Like, he didn't even introduce himself before he started touching me. I was just like, the hell's
Right.
going on, right? So
That off the bat, straight or gay, that you shouldn't be touching
yeah,
anyone.
yeah, that you don't
Okay.
know, or anyone without their consent in general. But yeah,
Right. Right.
um, yeah. So I was just like, I mean, I was just confused by the situation. And then like, he asked me, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm not gay. I appreciate it, but I think I literally said I appreciate it, but I'm not gay. And he's like, oh, all right, well, you need a friend. And I was like, I don't need friends. I'm good. Like, I don't know you. I don't need any friends. I appreciate it. And then he went on his way. Like, he left me alone after that. I posted the
Right.
status. Someone's like, you should have taken the free meal. I'm like, I can't. I don't like leading people on.
Leading someone on.
I feel like that's
I
very
respect it.
disrespectful. So,
I respect it.
yeah.
So, you know, it's not me if I don't come with a little bit of research to drop. You
Right.
feel me?
Right.
Like, I have to drop something, right?
Just some knowledge.
Drop
Like
some
crap.
knowledge. Facts. So, NBC News, right, released this article. It was three NYU psychologists, and
Mm-hmm.
they decided to conduct a test in 23 different countries, right?
Okay.
The concept of this test was to figure out, are gay men more disliked than lesbians in in these countries. The stats was not really surprising, but then it was just like, what the hell? When you think of gay men being disliked more than lesbians, right? On a scale of like 1 to 10, where do you think United States falls on that? Do you feel like one being they really hate gay men more than lesbians, or 10 being like they're very open minded about it?
It's hard to say because it's really dependent on what there's. It's NYU, so I'm assuming that they do good sample size work, having a control group and whatnot. But I want to say like a four, maybe four or
Okay.
three.
Okay. I think that's pretty accurate.
Mm.
Um so not only did they discover that gay men are in fact more disliked than lesbians, but within the category of gay men, it's mostly minority gay men that are disliked more than anything else. That didn't really surprise me. But what did surprise me is we all know Russia right now. We all know what's going on and stuff.
Yeah.
And we all know that in Russia it's against the law to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to prison for that. So Russia has actually made a statement where they feel that anyone who is a part of LGBTQ is seeking to destroy and the spiritual value made by Russia through propaganda for their people.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, just, I'm here with my wife,
Mm-hmm.
watching TV, and somehow us doing that is seeking to destroy Russia's spiritual value. Okay.
They got a lot
um,
more destruction going on in their country that they need to worry about. I feel like, but it's neither here nor there.
right, right. Um, They have also found that in these countries, I'm going to list the countries that they named. It was Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Great Britain. Is it even called Great Britain anymore? Like UK, right? It's UK.
Britain I think is England, and the UK is United Kingdom.
Okay.
I might
So
be
I
wrong
think,
on that though. I'll look it up. Continue.
okay. Okay. And then we got Spain, and Sweden. Those countries they have a more positive attitude about gay men and just gays altogether than the United States. Whereas the United States has shown that the um, men who are anti-gay show more aggression and more anger towards gay men than they do lesbians.
Makes sense.
And for women in the United States, they kind of equally dislike both gay men and just anyone within LGBTQ community.
That also makes sense.
Um,
Like I'm
on
not
top
surprised
of
about
that,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not surprised either. On top of that, another interesting fact that they found was that men that were, you know, are gay are targeted more by other men that claim that they are not gay. So they're always like being attacked by other men, which I can see that. Like even in the news or, social media, that's all you see. You see like a gay guy walking by himself and it's like a group of a bunch of straight. I put that in quotation marks because then years down the road you end up finding out that that whole time one of those people was still in the closet, and
Mm-hmm.
the reason that they were being so hateful towards another gay person was because they were upset that they couldn't come out the closet themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in quotes straight men attacking the gay guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like that that's kind of accurate? Like it's usually people that are usually homophobic about that, it's usually because they are gay
Um,
themselves.
I wouldn't put usually as the. I don't think it's often the case because there's a lot of factors at play. A lot of people blame religion. Um,
True.
I would say probably religion's more often than not the excuse, to be honest. Especially with like the denial of like serving gay people and whatnot. Um, but that it's definitely something that comes up, and this is an extreme base case, but like on Criminal Minds, a lot of the times you see that like when they have like hate crimes against gay people and stuff, a lot of times it's
Yeah.
committed by people who are in the closet,
Mm-hmm.
because they were taught to reject what they themselves feel, uh, and thus they can't. Um, they had like extreme cases, but a lot of times they're taught to reject themselves because of parents who are homophobic, because of their religion and stuff. So like it's a trickle effect. A lot of them do reject themselves and are jealous that they can see other people being on about. But I do think it's more so like religion based than it is of that matter, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. As far as like that situation goes, I can actually relate to that completely because there was a time where, like I said, I knew I was into women since I was like 4 years old because I
Mm-hmm.
had a crush on my pre-K teacher, but I wasn't
Same.
open about it. Yeah. I wasn't open about it. I kept it to myself. I remember one time like I asked my mom about it, and that's when both of my parents were like, that's not okay. That's a sin. That's not what God intended, and it's supposed to be a man and a woman, and anyone that does that is just sick in the head. That's just you know, white people are getting their problems into you know Caribbean people's households and stuff. And so for a very long time, I kept that to myself, and I didn't know what to do with it. I middle school, I ended up having a boyfriend. It lasted for like a few hours because it just we didn't even hold hands because it was just weird, right? Um, Shout out to my ex boyfriend. I'm not gonna name names. If you're watching this, I bet
Okay.
you're like this makes sense, right? That it lasted just a few hours. Um, but yeah, I tried to not feel the way I felt, and it just was weird. And then I got to high school, and kids that didn't even like me were telling me, bro, stop trying to be somebody you're not. You're gay. If you're gay, you're gay. Like, if your parents don't like it, fuck it. Like, it's your life that you're living, not theirs. So I think the fact that it was kids that didn't even like me were telling me this, it kind of was like a huge eye opener where it was just like, you know what? I don't care. And that's when I, openly was doing gay things with, like, not doing gay things, but people knew I was a gay woman outside of my household.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a longer time to come out to my family. That's a whole separate thingy. But I can see how being raised with that mentality can cause you to like see someone else and you're just like, damn, look at you getting to be free, getting to be out, getting to be yourself. And I don't have that confidence to do it because I don't have anyone showing me or supporting me and shit. So I could see that.
I'm honestly surprised that they didn't come up more as a topic of conversation in the job we met in, because I feel like a lot of times we had kids come in who were also struggling with those same identity
Mm-hmm.
issues, and you can see how it was influencing their behavior. But
Mm-hmm.
because we have to remain unbiased and we can't lead them into into figuring that out, like we can't direct them without accusing them, which was frowned upon. uh,
Yeah.
we couldn't really give them the help that they needed, and only hope that at the next stage that they went into, like whether it be like counselor or whatever, that they had someone to talk to and felt more comfortable talking to about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I remember when I met you, like right off the bat, it was like obvious.
Right.
And like I said, everything, I feel like things sort of shifted, the mentality sort of shifted, and everything changed going into high school. So when I met Sasha, I was just graduating middle school. I was 14. And it was like the summer right before I got into high school. And again, sexuality wasn't something talked about in middle school, at least in my middle school. Like we had couples and stuff, but it wasn't like really dived into. Like the spectrum wasn't talked about or anything like that. But meeting Sasha was like opening a gateway, because as soon as I got into high school, I already knew, what to expect. I already knew how to treat it, how to, I don't want to say how to treat it. How to treat it makes it seem like it's not something that's
Normal.
normal. Yeah.
Right.
Not how to treat it, but like I already knew what was
What
deemed
to say, what not
inappropriate.
to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. What was deemed inappropriate to say, or like stuff like that. Like, so I thank you for exposing me and making my mental maturity increase before I got into high school. Um, but yeah, like I knew, and for someone who didn't even know my name for the first 2 months, we became
True, I
really
called him
close.
Hat Guy.
Yeah,
Hat Guy.
hat game, hat guy. Uh, we got really close. Like I don't know what made us bond. I don't think it was the hats, but something made us bond in training that led to us being close when we were in the program together for the few years that we were there.
Yeah.
And she definitely opened me, like it was an eye opener. Not it wasn't like a
I didn't
culture
know that.
shock thing,
I didn't
but
know that.
dude, you taught me so much. I know you said before we discussed this podcast, because I pride myself in being like socially correct, but I'm still ignorant on certain topics. So I discussed with Sasha, like what things what should I try to avoid to say. Not that it's in my vocabulary or things that I would say, but like, is there anything that's come up in our conversations that you feel like would be offensive? And she's like, no, I've never heard you say anything offensive, this and that. And I literally owe that to you because I feel like seeing how you responded to things, I'm an observant person, so seeing how you respond to other people talking the way they did kind of made
Yeah.
me realize it's not okay to talk like that. It's not okay to talk like that. It's not okay to talk like that. So I never did
Right.
it, but like I was observing you going through it. So it may have been indirect, but you actually taught me a lot going into high school.
I'm
Like those 2 3 months going into high school, I learned so much. So thank you for that.
That warms my heart. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah,
You're welcome. I didn't know that.
yeah.
You've never you've never like openly expressed something that it's not emotional, but it kind of is. But yeah.
I think it's
You're
not
welcome.
something I've like realized until now, but
Okay.
because we're talking about the topic, it's like when did that shift happen for me? Because I remember a clear shift from middle school to high school. Like my mentality about the topic changed, and I
Right.
was like, the only person who was in my life at that point that could have changed that topic is Sasha, and then it brought back the memories of like us training and talking to the witnesses and stuff and seeing what they were going through and seeing how you responded to certain things and like all the stuff that you went through outside of the program with your high school and your exes and stuff. So that was a super eye opener. I was like, okay, this is something to keep an eye out. I'm about to learn a lot of stuff right now. So you didn't know you were doing it, but I
I
appreciate
didn't
it.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Um I feel like a lot of people should have that mentality, where it's
Mm,
like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Is it going to come off offensive? Is it not going to come off offensive? I don't really know much information about it. So
oh,
instead of off the bat going off of what someone told you that's negative or someone purposely trying to tell you, no, it shouldn't be that way, it shouldn't be that way, open your eyes up.
yeah.
Try to get information from somebody else.
And
Um,
I think that's why having a podcast like this is so important. Um, and it's not something that maybe there could be like a dozen podcasts like ours out there that we just don't know about, but that the problem is
right.
that we don't know about it. The problem is that it's not out there, that people can't just access this information or hear people
Mm-hmm.
talk about it and hear different perspectives, which is why we have this podcast. So
Right.
if you feel like you're someone who's struggling with it or someone else is struggling with it that you care about, or even just want to spread some knowledge, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of it's also still subjective. So
Yeah.
we're just trying
It's
to bring
all about,
perspectives. That's
yeah.
basically it. You can form your own
Yeah.
opinion at the end of the day, but we're just trying to show you multiple sides of the story. So
Right.
yeah,
Um, I didn't even know that a lot of gay men, they go through so much discrimination that some of them um want to be fathers and they choose not to go through the process because it gets looked at so negative. It's
yeah,
like, oh, how can two men um father a child? And it's
mm,
like there's nothing wrong about that. We have so many kids that are in situations where they have both their mother and father, and they're the ones going through the most abuse.
yep,
Whereas a child being raised in a gay household is going through the most loving, most open situation. So I just think that's stupid. It's
yeah,
really stupid.
yeah. The most important
There's
thing is to get a kid into a loving household. I also want to point out
right.
I'm not drinking alcohol. This is not alcoholic. I just don't want to show the brand. It looks like a bottle of alcohol. It's not. It's not a fake. It's not fake beer. It's just a different drink. It's a Malta. I'm not gonna say which brand, but it's a Malta.
um yeah, like it's just sad. A lot of men, they're like, okay, we could look into adoption or maybe surrogacy, um, and they just want a child to experience the love that they have to offer,
Yep.
right? Not in a perverted way, not in a negative way, not in
Mm-hmm.
an abusive way, just in a
Yeah.
family
A
way,
nurturing. Yeah.
right? In a family
Yeah.
way, and we already know because we live in America, in which once you hit that border that separates you from New York City to whether it's upstate or whether it's to a completely different state, the vibe changes like that,
Mm-hmm.
just like that. Whether you're a person of color or you're LGBTQ or you're a person of color that is LGBTQ, you feel like you're suffocating because of all the animosity and discrimination that is just coming your way just from leaving
Yeah,
to a
super
different state.
super culture shift. And I would even
Right.
argue Long Island too. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Long Island, Staten Island, you can just sense it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of
Yeah.
a shift. Not I'm not trying to generalize the areas too. If you're someone who's not like that. It's not directed at you, obviously, but
Right.
it's a lot. You could sense it. You can sense the shift. Like there's certain places where Hispanic, well, any person of color or minority feels less comfortable being in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a weight in the air. You could just sense it,
Mm-hmm.
a warning signal, if you will.
Yep.
So, and that
Um,
extends to people who are LGBTQ and are both as well. So,
right. It's just it's sad that it needs to be that way. But to answer that question of do we think gay men are discriminated way more than lesbians? Yes,
yeah.
for sure, hands down. Um, I
Excuse me.
personally don't see why it's like that. But then you think about it, right? And from that study I was telling you about with the three psychologists,
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of the like Eastern countries, they have this belief where whether it's a gender role or just your anatomy, whatever the case is, they feel like men have a certain gender role and women have a certain gender role. Those gender roles complement each other. Therefore, man and woman are made to be with each other. But then there's women that not only do their job of what the gender role is for women, but they also are way better way better at doing the male role.
Mm-hmm.
They do it better than the men sometimes.
Shout out to
So
the
it's
single
like
moms out there.
facts, and it's like, mm, who are you to
Also,
say that that's how it has to be?
I also want to shout out the single dads out there too. Like any single parent, I
They don't
should
get
say.
enough
They don't
recognition.
get enough
Yeah,
recognition, but shout out to the single
mm-hmm.
parents out there. Yeah.
Facts. They don't get. Yeah, it's just shocking to see like how every country thinks
Yeah.
differently, but very similar. And it's all about just gay men.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like bisexuals go, um, when it comes to men, they feel like a guy cannot be bisexual because you you're sleeping with another man and you can't fake that. But then how can you like being with a woman? It's two completely different feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but who are you to discriminate him because he wants, at
Yeah.
some point in time, he wants to be with another man? Like,
And
there's nothing wrong with that.
it's crazy because at least for Christianity, that even the Pope came out in support of gay people, and they kind of just ignore it here. Like not here in New York City, but here in our country,
Mm,
a lot of people claim that religion is the reason why they can't change their beliefs. Have the head person in their religion tell them it's okay, and they're still like, nah, you're changing the verses, you're changing the Bible. I don't like it. It's like, dude,
in
like,
which the Bible has been changed so many
yeah,
times.
it literally changes based on where they decided to land. Like a lot of times,
Right.
it was combined with existing religions in the area, so that's easier to convert people over, and we
Mm-hmm.
kept it. Like it's just like I don't know. I don't want to make this like a religion or a political thing, but like it's just crazy that
Yeah.
in my sense, and I grew up in a religious household too. I was like a altar server and everything. I did the whole the not commandments, the like communion, Eucharist, baptism, all that. Confession. I've done all that, and it's still like I feel like my church is more liberal, so it might not necessarily apply, but it's crazy how much people are like just completely blind is not the right word. Completely entrenched into their religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shapes their entire worldviews and values. And I feel like
Right.
there's so much more context outside of it that needs to be acknowledged. Um,
Yeah.
like you can believe in whatever you want to believe in, but like don't ignore stuff just because it's not in the book that you read. You know, like there's stuff going
Right.
on that is both inexplicable and just it is part of life now, and you can't just be like, you know what? They don't mention it here in the past, so sucks to suck, you know.
Thanks.
I
Like,
also want to say I figured out the UK thing. So Great Britain is England, Scotland, and Wales, and their associated islands, but the
okay, okay.
UK includes Northern Ireland.
And a lot of TV, and you don't really see script roles for gay men.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are roles for gay men, it's like nothing too crazy, nothing too spontaneous,
Mm-hmm.
nothing too exciting. But then you have like women, right? Whether they're bisexual, trans, or lesbian, right? They put them into very sexual roles, right? And it's because the people that they're looking for are for people that sexualize those type of things. And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, they feel like women are just so easy to sexualize. Regardless of sexual orientation, women in general are just easy to sexualize than a man is. And I don't I don't see how it's possible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um if you're saying that women can only be sexualized by a man, right? And a man should only be sexualized by a woman, then my question is for the women out there that are into men, right? Why is it that some of them also discriminate gay men more than they do a lesbian?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't, and I can't really attest to the women who are like that. For men, obviously, the reason is because lesbians are sexualized. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it's. Uh, Again, to bring it back to religion, in some cases, they specifically only say, like, men, I think. I'm not too certain about what
Yeah,
verse or
there's
whatever it is, but
they put in a new verse that says like no man shall lay with another man,
yeah.
something like that.
So, because it emphasizes man, that's why they're like, hey, this is direct. So, this is
Mhm.
even more worse. The other thing is still frowned upon, but this is even more worse because the Bible had to spell it out. So I think it's
Right.
something like stuff like that, and it's crazy. And I'm not condoning this past history because it's gross behavior, but it's crazy how we've gone from like ancient Greek life where they literally had boys as like squires that were sex slaves
Mhm.
versus now where it's just like nah you can't even think gay, like that's a sin. And it's
Right.
such a huge, and like yet concubines and stuff were also in that history, but adultery is a sin. Like it just
Mhm.
it's so much contradiction. Like
It's yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's one thing if you guys are saying like the very first Bible is the one you guys are following, right?
yeah.
But then after that, so many different types have come out, right?
Mm.
And where did those come from? Where did those changes come from? Who implemented those changes?
Mostly
Because
kings and
as
rulers that wanted to bend the rules to their
to
wants.
their themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, I have not heard of any other like savior or any other um person being put here to spread the word of God um and just speaks directly to God. Like I just don't see it. I feel like it's man-made.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's made for interpretation. It doesn't tell you here's the A, B, and C of what you need to do to be considered like a positive human being.
Mhm.
No, it's this is what I'm laying out for you. You interpret it how you interpret it, and then you'll be judged later to see if your interpretation was correct or not.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, right, that and this again, I'm not coming for anyone's religion. Believe in what you want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you look at it, um, based on all the stories, yeah, like there's specific rules and stuff from religion. But if you think about it, my interpretation, of course, and I'm not a religious person, but from what I remember about reading from when I was a religious person, was that God Himself laid down 10 rules, just 10. Was the commandments.
Right.
You should have no other gods before me. You should not make idols. You should not take the name of the Lord in vain. I'm reading it. I don't remember. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And you shall not covet. The first four is a very religion based thing. Like,
Right.
no other gods. There's one God. You shall not make idols. Don't worship anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't, even not even your own possessions. You should not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, which a lot of people who are religious do. Remember
Right.
the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Corporate America works 7 days a week, so it's not the
Right.
case for a lot of people.
All
Uh,
right.
Honor your father and your mother. Okay. You shall not murder. That's, I think we can all agree on that, right? Don't murder people. Uh,
Right.
you shall not commit adultery. That's the cheating thing. You shall
Mm-hmm.
not steal. Uh, for me personally, it depends why you're stealing. What's the reason? Um, like if it's to feed your family, you know, go ahead, steal some food, whatever. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. I guess don't lie. Don't be fronting. God, look, he
Don't
said
be
don't.
going on the stand talking about, yeah, I seen her do it, but
I
you
seen
weren't
it.
even home. How
Yeah,
you seen it? How
exactly.
you seen it?
And you shall not covet. Don't want what other people have, which
Right.
the entire world does. So
Mm-hmm.
if we think about it, a lot of people already break these 10 rules that he specifically handed down to Moses. So, like,
Exactly.
to come up with all these other arbitrary rules based off of renditions that are interpretations and have been rewritten and reinterpreted and all that is it's a bit extreme in my opinion. Just
I
like
agree.
also one of the it's not in the commandments, but I'm pretty sure one of the passages that also says, "Judge not, lest ye shall be judged," or whatever. As in, like, it's not your job to judge people; it's his job. So
Mm-hmm.
just let people be. Like, if you really think that your religion states that they're gonna go to hell, then that's his decision. You just let them rock.
Right.
Don't be
Right.
trying to enforce a
Like,
hell in a living plane.
right. Like, I am the biggest mind your business person. Like, literally, and I don't mean like I tell people if they ask me something, I'm just like, mind your business. No, I mean, a building can be on fire right next to me. People could be fighting on the other side, and then someone's behind me, like, um, throwing a whole movie or something. And I'm still walking. Like, oh, well, okay. And I'm still going about my business because it's not my, what am I going to do? Like, my opinion isn't going to change what is happening. It's not going to change anyone's point of view from where they're standing and what they feel in that moment.
Yeah,
So, all I can do is mind my business. I'm going
thanks.
to mind my business, go about my day. You know, I felt like I did no harm to another person. I felt that I helped out someone else. Great, but other people got to learn that and learn to mind their business,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, your nose
Um,
need not be anywhere. I,
right.
regardless of how bored you are with your life. A lot of times it's just like I have nothing to do, so I'm gonna mind other people's business. Just
Mm-hmm.
find something to do. Get a hobby.
Right.
Watch
Right.
a movie.
Leave, leave these men alone.
Yeah,
Leave them alone.
yeah.
Leave them be. They shouldn't have to feel like they can't be fathers. They shouldn't have to feel like they can't be in a relationship, and they shouldn't have to feel like they can't walk anywhere by themselves because they're going to be beat up or harassed by
Hmm.
other men.
They shouldn't feel like they can't be themselves either. Like, just
Right.
stop showing your
I'm just going
people.
to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to put this out there. If you are another man, right? And you are beating up on another dude because he is gay, I'm just going to say that you're hiding in the closet. You're gay. If you're putting your hands on another man and you want to beat him up, right? You want to beat the shit out of him. You're gay. I'm just saying it. Hands down, period. El punto. That's it.
El punto.
El punto.
Okay.
But and then for women that just discriminate against gay men too, it's because you have a crush on him and you can't have him.
Can't have
That's it. That's it. Period. Hands down. El punto.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's how I feel about it. Do you have any other questions, concerns?
No,
All right. I
I
think
I'm actually surprised. I didn't expect to get an hour out of this conversation, but there was levels to this shit. The
there
context,
was different deaths and
different
everything.
depths.
Yeah, we had to like stir it all up. So that is all for this topic. I'm pretty sure we could have discussed much more. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that we probably didn't say that we're going to realize later on we should have said.
Hmm.
But for our viewers and our listeners, if you have anything you'd like to add, please comment below. Try to keep it positive. We're a positive channel. We don't
Positive,
take
please.
negativity.
Yeah. Don't be
All right.
cursing people out in the chat.
Right. If you don't agree with something we have said, or you don't agree with something someone else says, come about it respectively.
Yeah.
Okay? You will be blocked if not.
Start a discussion. Don't start an argument.
Right. Okay. That being said, please subscribe, follow, like, and share podcast and video.
My other
I
hand
am
isn't
one of
showing. There we go.
all information
Down
to
there.
our social media
Down
will
there.
be found below.
Yeah.
Um, you can also find snippets of previous podcasts as well as this one on our Instagram or Twitter, all that stuff.
And TikTok.
Um,
I think we forgot
and
that last
TikTok.
time.
Am Sasha.
Oh, she
Remember to say my name
remembered.
this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
That constant improvement.
I am a lady that loves ladies,
And
and I'm signing out.
it's your boy, B. Rain the Dot, aka Brandon. Yeah, I have to say it like that every time, too. A man who loves ladies. Also, signing off of this shit. Bye.